Hi, welcome to Ink Young Writers Showcase. Ink is a writers group that I run across primary schools, secondary schools, colleges across the country. And I've been running an online Ink session for the Old Courts, which has been amazing. Thank you, Old Courts. And tonight we are sharing some of the poems and stories and thoughts that the young people have had. I'd like to begin with young Betsy. Betsy's based in Preston. She's an awesome writer. She's previously sent in poetry she's written for the online work I've done over lockdown, and she's a prime example of why we should be poets and just express our inner feelings. Enjoy.
Some dads are kind, some dads have a big mind. Some dads love you, some dads have a poo. Some dads can't cook, some dads can read a book. Some dads can help you when you're crying. Some dads can hold you so high you feel like you're flying. That's why I wonder why I hate my dad.
Betsy is an awesome comedy talent. I'm sure we'll see her in stand-up at some point in the future. And we're all getting a bit fed up with each other over lockdown, aren't we? Yeah, let it all out, kids. Write out your feelings. Oh, and another note, Betsy's dad is organising a photography festival in Preston where all the images are outside, so you can get a map and walk around Preston to see all these awesome photographs. So, check that out. Next up, we've got Caitlyn. Caitlyn is a young writer based in Wigan, and she used to come to the Create Sparks drama group at the Old Courts. For Caitlyn, I gave the group a prompt called I Saw Him Fall. I saw her fall. I saw him fall and I didn't know what to do. And this gritty piece set in a park is what Caitlyn's imagination came up with.
He fell down. I didn't know what to do. We're just young teenagers having fun in the dark at the town park, just being stupid and fun, but now I realise it was dangerous. We found a wishing well, we messed around and sat around the room, jokes, fun and games until I pushed him as a joke. He fell, to his death. I called for help but no one was around. He was my best friend. I've just lost him.
Wow, that was an awesome bit of flash fiction, Caitlyn. I could just see you as a future crime writer, writing those dramas on Netflix. Well done, Caitlyn. Next up, we've got Harriet. Harriet is a student at a school in Manchester who I often run Ink classes with. And she's wrote this amazing poem about missing her little cousin when her cousin moved away.
Hi, my name is Harriet Bristol, and this is my couplet poem, which I dedicated to my little cuz, also known as Spaghetti Head. Little cuz. Little cuz always used to come over, lift up the fence and come under. We used to play teachers and also be bakers, but now things are about to change. Things are about to become strange. No shouting, no sound. Now Spaghetti Head is gone, little cuz isn't around.
Oh, I feel that Harriet's really got a sense of a voice of a performance poet there. She's really got that, as well as it's been dead touching and calling a little cousin spaghetti head. I love that. Thank you, Harriet. Next up, we've got Aoife. Aoife comes to Kink Young Writers. She is based in Wigan. She's written some awesome stuff, including being published in a small booklet by the Turnpike Gallery called Unwritten. So well done on that, Aoife. But tonight she's reading a different piece, and it's called Eagle.
Have you watched an eagle in flight? On wings flayed, it looked like a massive kite. It shoots into the heights with unlaboured ease, enjoying the kiss of the passing breeze. Who can ignore this wonderful sight when an eagle elegantly takes off in flight? No other bird can soar to such a height, and none can beat it in its might, with sharp talons and curved beak, and strength enough to subdue the meek. It swoops down over the ones that cower, and preys upon what it wants to devour.
Good work, Aoife. What an awesome use of rhyme you've got there. I really enjoyed your rhyme scheme in that piece. And I quite like how arty you'd kind of made your film in, like with some leaves. Yeah, it was good, that. Well done. I'm looking forward to seeing you for next week at our Young Writers. If you're a young writer out there or you've got one living in your house, send them, because, you know, they're all nice, the young people who come. Who have we got next? Oh, yes. Next up, we've got the awesome Iman. Iman is based in Bolton. She is one of the young people who've been coming every single month to our Young Writers sessions and coming up with some amazing stuff. She's got 2 pieces next, and I think you'll enjoy them.
Hi, my name is Iman Hassan, and I'll be doing a poem on how the pen is more mightier than the sword. Arthur, Arthur, thou must think, O thou sword, as a remote to power, but then thy don't know ink. As mine is more twine, just read between the lines. Arthur, Arthur, thou must think of king, but reality will serve, as a dagger is nothing compared to words. Arthur, Arthur, does thou know that actions doesn't speak louder than words? Truth be told, not a thing will hurt like a message of paper. That's why thy will come later. And next I'll be doing a story about how painting tells a story. Every picture tells a story, whether it's willingly or unwillingly. It just depends on how you tell it. No one can have the same thought that you possess. But isn't that what makes you special? I own an art gallery, but isn't it the same? It isn't the same as making your own art. When the graceful brush meets the paper, or when it waltzes all over the page, it seems as if it has a mind of its own. No one can stop what you are about to do. It just relies on how you forecast it. When your imagination is at large, who's to say what you can and can't do? Painting is not some image. It tells a story. A story in which you can't stop. You just have to believe it can happen. The amusing thing is waking up every morning to have an innocent child come to try and copy the art. How despicable. Like, create your own. Copying gets you nowhere. And next I'll be reading a hustle in dedication to the devil. Red, red, red. Blood, blood, blood. Upon a person's faith is what lies in store. Ruby horns and the giant fork with cherry wings. Like a rose, beautiful on the outside, yet get to know them and they'll prick you. Evil engulfs you whether you're prepared to not. To cut your wings. Regret fills the air as his malevolent grin stabs you. Wishful thinking is not an option. No freedom, no wings. Hope is dismayed, and lay eyes on him, and nothing good can come from it. His bloodshot eyes pierce your heart like a dagger. How does this creature have the audacity to mock his wings? Who is he? A myth? An animal? It would attack you. I would love to escape, to soar away on my wings. Thank you for listening. That's my pieces that I have been creating with Louise. Bye.
Good job, Iman. Not a thing will hurt like a message on paper. And that's to do with a session where we were exploring the power of words. And in the next half of the session, you'll see quite a few pieces exploring the idea that the pen is mightier than the sword. And of course, that awesome piece about art and paintings. I love it. Thank you, Iman, for sending in your work. Next up, we have 4 young people who are part of Willpower Youth Theatre, and they were kind enough to read the work of writers who aren't necessarily that comfortable with performing and didn't want to record themselves, which is great because Ink Ink is about writing, it's about making poetry, songs, scripts, stories, all sorts of things, and you don't have to be dead keen on recording yourself to come, you know. So Willpower really kindly helped us out. So first up, we've got Hannah, who's reading a short story inspired by the idea of being trapped.
Hi, I'm Hannah Skelton. I go to Willpower and I'll be reading the beginning of a story inspired by the word trapped. It was written by Wan Mei. I lay there, under the rubble, pinned down by ruined concrete and twisted steel. I could hear sirens, their wails muted by the drifting dust. I tried to shout, to call and scream for help, but I couldn't. I couldn't. My throat was dry and full of dust, and I was exhausted, and I'd lost blood, and I just couldn't. But I did. Croaking moans tried to echo from my throat, but were too quiet and didn't reach the stones. Hope kept me going. Pure hope. I croaked and I croaked, even though I knew it would be inaudible above. The sun was visible through a gap in the debris. Reaching out to it, I tried to haul myself from under the dead concrete. Nothing moved. Until it did. The rubble shifted. At first, I thought I had freed myself. Then I saw them. The emergency workers. They looked like angels in the column of sunlight I was allowed. Heart soaring, I watched them move the crushing stone on my legs and widening the light in my eyes.
Oh, well done, Hannah. A beautiful reading. Thank you so much. Next up, we have young Lily. Lily also goes to Willpower. She's awesome, and she kindly agreed to read a group poem called Why Bother with Pens? Why bother with pens, Lily? Why bother with pens, everybody? Well, if we didn't have pens, we wouldn't have this awesome night for you, would we?
I'm Lily May and I go to Willpower Youth Theatre and I'll be reading a poem called Why Bother with Pens. It was written as a group poem by Ink young writers. Why bother with pens? The pen is a laser of truth and light in the darkness of ignorance. It's a peak in the mountain of human evolution, hieroglyphs to emojis. It's the screwdriver, bolting histories to those who won the victories. It's a plastic and ink, horn of a unicorn, making magic. It's an archaic tool of torture. Why won't you just let us type?
Oh, thank you so much, Lily. You did a really, really good job. And last but not least, we have Oliver. And Oliver's reading a short story that I think you'll think is awesome. And I just thought I'd like to add that all the young people from Willpower are based in Wigan and Lee, and they are the future actors of tomorrow. Good luck with your journeys.
Hello, I'm Oliver, and I'll be reading an exciting short story about an attack on someone who lives and works at a corner shop. It's called The System. It was written by Jake Wise at Ink Young Writers. The pen is mightier than the sword. I've always believed that, and still do. I just seemed a little feeble when faced with a sword, you know. The metal seemed more intimidating up close, and it looked rather sharp. Pay up, the thug demanded, sword in hand. My hand held a pen, not much mightier in this situation. In my offhand, I held all of the money I had on me, and it didn't take long for it to move to the thugs. Slowly backed away, then turned and jogged away. I let out a pent-up breath and walked back to my humble little shop on shaky legs. The pen is mightier than the sword. I've always known it is. That thug, on the other hand, perhaps he needed to be shown. From memory, I drew his face and noted what he'd been wearing. In the morning, I'd hand it over to the guard. Despite one's opinion on the pen against the sword, none can argue that the judicial system is mightier than the sword. And the system relies on the pen.
We've come to the end of our Young Writers Showcase. Thank you so much for watching. A huge thanks to Betsy, Caitlyn, Harriet, Aoife, Iman, Hannah, Sam, Lily and Oliver. Not forgetting the other young people who come to the group but haven't submitted this time. A big shout out to the awesome Sophia and Aaliyah. Who else have we got who's not read? Oh, Aaron, Jacob. If you're sat at home and you've got a young person or a child who might like to come, send them to me online at night. We have a laugh. And have fun. Have a great evening, everybody.